Yes, I think we are live. Good morning, everybody. Excuse my voice is for some reason a little hoarse this morning. Um, and did we do the show last week? I can't remember if we did the show last week or how long. How long have I been missing for? Anyway, here I am. And before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is to my right side. Thank goodness, let me tell you, thank goodness, because he has saved my bacon on several occasions through my life. And let's say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris. Would you like to tell us where you are this morning?
Good morning, Rosemary. Where am I? Amarillo, Texas.
Texas, Amarillo. Right. It sounds so Western. Is it Western? Is it a
Oh, it's
West?
definitely Western. I drove through a whole bunch of nothing to get here, and it was nice to see some city lights when I finally arrived last night.
Did you drive through the desert then? Or is that what you were doing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, anyway, all right. And Chris is heading to New Mexico. I think I can say that to people, right, Chris? Chris is heading to New
Yes.
Mexico. She is actually daring to go not only to a balloon festival, and I don't mean the little balloons that you give to kids, I mean those big, huge balloons that go up into the sky. Not only is she going to the balloon festival on Sunday, I do believe, she is going for a ride in a balloon. She's braver than I am. Anyway, so, all right, Chris, is there anybody there?
Yeah, everybody's starting to log on, and most of
Great.
the comments I'm seeing so far, Rosemary, have to do with they're happy that you and I made it through Ian, and they're so happy to see you here. So, did you want to let people know a little bit about that?
Uh, well, actually, I was not there during the hurricane, and Chris, I think you only got the edges of the hurricane. So we were both extremely lucky to avoid the eye and to avoid the chaos that Hurricane Ian has created. I feel extremely well, very blessed actually. Um, I know there are a lot of you been emailing, there are a lot of you been questioning how is Rosemary, how is her house, etc. My house is still standing. I do have a little damage, um, but all things considered, the damage that I have with my property is very minor compared to the devastation that has been going on. And I think people often, especially those of you who have never experienced a hurricane and you've never been close to one, etc., I think it's hard for you to imagine what it must be like. You know, you literally drive around the streets, you see trees torn up, you see houses with no roofs, you see houses that no longer exist because a hurricane comes through and takes everything. But it's also, and I think this is where people don't perhaps realize, it's the aftermath of the hurricane, which you know that continues then to create problems. And I know that people in, for instance, in my area, in the Sarasota County area, I the hurricane was over. Wednesday came, Thursday came and went. That's when the hurricane hit us the most. My When I say us, people in my area, that's when it hit us the most. And then on Friday, in the middle of the night, sort of 2:30, 3:30, I think it was in the morning, I had a phone call from the sheriff's department. Then I had another phone call from the county, some department in the county, basically saying that there is a 15-foot surge in the Mayaca River. And the Mayaca River, here we go again. I've lost you. I know you've not lost me, but I've lost you. So I'm going to just click that and brings me right back. There we are. So it actually is. What was I saying? So the Mayaca River is a large, a very wide river and very long river, and partly runs through Sarasota County. It has alligators and snakes and all the other stuff in there, all the good stuff. And it's a source of income, I think, for Florida in a way, because it brings tourists in. You can literally go and see as many alligators as you want to see. You can see them soaking up on the banks. It's not something I particularly like to do, but I have been on a boat. They take you out on a boat and they show you around all the marshland areas and so on. Anyway, but so it's a very large river. Anyway, because of the hurricane, a lot of the levees, for those of you who in England who, like me, did not know what a levee was until I don't remember the song, but um, I can't remember now what the song is. I'll remember it in a bit, and I might even sing a little bit to you. But anyway, a levee is a river bed which is very often dry, but does swell with water from time to time. Somebody's going to correct me in that description, I know. But anyway, the levees were flooded, and a lot of bridges went down, and a lot of banks collapsed because of the hurricane, and then have created, because of that, they have, everything swelled over, all the water swelled over, running into the Mayaca. And my phone call, actually, in the middle of the night, said that they estimated that the Mayaca River would have a 15-foot surge, which means it's coming up 15 feet, I think, above the banks, or certainly a lot of that is above the banks. Then I think it went to 20, 27, and I did hear reports of it going to 37. So within moments of getting the phone call, I was advised, if I'm in the area, to evacuate and so on and so forth. And there were forced evacuations in and around the Sarasota area, not about a 20-minute drive from where I live. Houses were washed away. The what they call them, the mobile homes were washed away. I mean, people were losing properties, and of course, unfortunately, people drowned. And so this was the aftermath. So just when you're heaving a sigh of relief, the hurricane's gone. What it's left behind, we have to deal with. But thank goodness it's now gone. Now comes something else coming in, and then after that, something else comes in. And it's been, I think, one of the worst hurricanes to hit Florida in perhaps 100 years or more. But, my daughter started getting worried. I don't think she live in Florida anymore. I think you should. But when you think about it, there are so many things in almost every area. I think in England we're the safest, probably, because we don't really have so much in the way of hurricanes or tornadoes, if anything at all. We don't even have huge mounds of snow and ice, which is why the country often shuts down when we have snow, because we don't know how to deal with it. We're not used to that sort of thing. But I remember, I think it was Hurricane Fiona. Was it Hurricane Fiona, Chris? That went and hit all of the northeast up into Canada um, a while ago, a few years ago, 2 3 years ago. So,
Oh, no, this just happened. Fiona just happened, Rosemary, just before Ian.
well, what am I thinking? But what I'm saying, okay, what I'm saying is, wherever you go, there's always something that you have to deal with. And I've been to Australia a couple of times, and I love Australia, and I love the people. I've been to New Zealand as well. I love those people. They're great, great people. But you have to contend with that little spider that you don't really see because it's so small. But if it has a little orange back to it, it's a deadly spider. And I remember the first time I went to Australia and was taken to a restaurant, all of a sudden my companion leapt up, told me to sit still where I was, and a few other people were then all of a sudden paying attention because there was this particular deadly spider uh, crawling across the floor of the restaurant. Everywhere you go, there is something. Everywhere you go, you have to deal with something or another. So I feel, again, that I'm very, very fortunate in that, yes, did I have damage? Yes. Was I there to see it? I'm pleased to say I was not. Although I also have to give a shout out to my fabulous friend Mary Lou, who has watched my house, that called me every day with updates, went the other day and cleaned out my refrigerator and my freezer, as she did for my neighbour next door, who is a good friend of mine too, and put out garbage and stuff like that. Now that would, you would think, okay, well that's, that's what friends do for friends, which they do. But she has a son who lives an hour away. She has to deal with. She has a daughter and a grandson. She has a 93-year-old Aunt Mary. She has a fabulous friend of hers who lives in Port Charlotte, and on it goes. That girl has been obviously racing around, running around after all of us. So I'm going home tomorrow because I don't want her to run around after me anymore. Although I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the worst is hopefully now over. And I was told last night we have power. Da, 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 da. So I'm going home tomorrow, hopefully, unless it cuts out again because it keeps coming on and cutting out. I'm hopefully going home tomorrow to at least some air conditioning and at least some power. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on the internet. We are not having a show on Saturday because it's very iffy as to what we can and can't do. So forgive us for that. But we'll be doing other things next week when hopefully we will be as back to normal as we can possibly be. And then it will be my turn to have a look around and see who I can help and who I can, perhaps take food or blankets or something down like that down to the Fort Myers area because they are still suffering, they're still struggling. It's it's a mess. Lots of prayers, please, for everyone who was affected by this terrible tragedy, and we move on. And for all of you who have been looking at my Instagram, uh, I don't know if you know this, but my Instagram was hacked uh, a year or so ago, and we've been trying to get it back up, and now we're brand new up again. But I've lost all of my fabulous followers that I had. So just a heads up, I am back on Instagram, and um, I'm doing these little movies. Reese and I made spaghetti again yesterday, and I think up on the little, what's it called, the story time. They only last for 24 hours, so you have to keep checking in if you want to see. But there's a fantastic little story time piece with Reese playing the piano. He has a new piano. The story's gone now, but I should be putting up another one, hopefully at the weekend. So if you missed it the first time around, keep checking on Instagram, will you? Because Reese is just doing fabulous. He's playing the piano. He's really good. He's getting even better and better as we speak, and loving his new piano, which is a good thing too. All right, so that's me, Chris. Who do we have here? What's going on? Any questions? Any comments?
We have a lot of your regulars here showing great concern and being thankful that you're okay. In answer to one of your questions about the levee, both Dean and Lisa have offered "Bye Bye Miss American Pie" drove the
That's it.
Chevy to the levee by
Yes,
Don
I
McLean.
remember that. I think that song came out somewhere in the 60s or maybe the 80s. They'll tell me that as well. Dean, come on, don't let me down. And I remember loving the song, singing "Gonna," what is it? "Gonna something to the levee, but the levee was dry," something like that.
And good old boys were drinking
Whiskey and
whiskey and
rye,
rye.
singing, "This will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die." I can't remember now who, in fact, sang it, but I remember thinking, "Gonna Chevy to the levee." What does that mean? You know, and thinking it's some sort of, I don't know, musical term, rock and roll term. "Gonna Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry." And yeah, it didn't make any sense to me until I looked up the word levee, understanding now that it is a kind of a riverbed which fills up but often goes dry as well. But anyway, Interesting. And see, we're even singing, so it can't be so bad. Our lives can't be so bad right now. I've had a great time with Reese. I'm going to be sharing with you our spaghetti making. I've already shared a couple of things, story times, but if you missed it, too bad. It only lasts for 24 hours and then it disappears. So I'll show that again. My daughter, I bought her an attachment for her machine, which is fantastic. And you make the pasta, and then you knead it, just like as if you were kneading bread. You knead it, then you leave it to settle for half an hour, and then you push it through this thing that creates spaghetti or sort of thinnish pasta strips. Or you can cut your own. You know me, right? You know that I have to cut my own. So we did a bit of both. We used the machine for some of it. But the machine is great because it flattens it and it sort of rolls it out and makes it into strips so you can do with it what you want. And so, of course, yesterday, Samantha and I had a lovely chicken dish with pasta, and my grandson, I made him meatballs with pasta. He had a day off school yesterday, and I said to him, "What would you like to do? Just tell me whatever you'd like to do. We can make cookies, we can make Yorkshire puddings." I'm giving him all of the chance for his favourites. We can make shortbreads, we can make meringues. What do you want to do? And he said, "Can we make spaghetti again, Mosey?" So that's what we were doing. We were making spaghetti, but we also made Yorkshire pudding. And the other day we also made a creme patissiere, and I do have a little tiny video of him stirring creme patissiere, which I will share with you on Storytime at some point today, tomorrow, whatever. This is why you've got to keep looking at it, because it only lasts. Those stories only last for less than 24 hours, I think it is, and then they're gone, and you can't get them back unless I put them up again, of course. But anyway, so I've been having fun here with Reese, and poor Mary Lou has been running around helping me, sing to me at the house. Thank goodness for good friends. But I do believe, and again I said it on Instagram, I firmly believe that when God takes something from you, He always gives you something back. Now, that might seem such a harsh thing to say when you think that God might take something away from you. For instance, He might take your child from you, He might take your uh, beloved spouse from you. We all lose people at one time or another, and then you're thinking, well, you know, well, what is He giving me back? You know, He's taken this away from me. He's taken my treasure from me. And what is He giving me back? But I firmly believe that, and you've heard me say this before, through our pains and our tears, we do have a chance to learn and to grow. And I think God gives us opportunities to find wisdom in our pain. God gives us an opportunity to understand that, we are human beings. We're not infallible, and we are very susceptible to harm and to damage. You know, these things happen to us, and I think we forget, and especially in this age of technology, we're so used to having things at our fingertips. We're so used to being able to do things, and we don't think of the frailty of the human body. But it is a very frail vehicle that we use. It can be strong and it can be tough, but it's also very frail and easily damaged. So when I say to you, that I do believe that when God takes something from us, He always gives us something back. I really do believe that He gives us back perhaps an opportunity to find wisdom, an opportunity to find good friends, an opportunity to meet other people who we can either help or they help us, or both, in fact. So even though we can be devastated, and we look at what is happening in the world, and we look at the Hurricane Ian, and we look at the devastation of that, and some might say, yeah, well, He's taken away our houses, He's taken this away and that away. Now, don't we love to point the finger at God, by the way, don't we? But when we look at what is taken away from us, um, friendships come out of these things, good friendships, appreciation for what we have comes out of this. So if we look hard enough, we can always, even when God takes something away from us, we can always find that something that we have that we perhaps didn't have before, the gift that we don't want, but we need. Chris,
Well,
keep going.
Rosemary, while we're on that subject, you've got an event coming up on October 15th connecting to the spirit world, and that's through the Infinity Foundation.
Yes,
So maybe we should remind people that they have an opportunity to learn more.
that is coming up on the. I think it's the 15th. And Chris, how would people, if people wanted to join in, if people wanted to get tickets, if people wanted to be a part of that event, how would they get tickets? I know I can see you put it up on the screen, but if, for instance, they can't get through, is there? I think we perhaps should advise people, if you are in doubt, or if you for some reason can't get to the way of tickets through what we're putting up here, you can always email us if you're struggling. As email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, or email Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Either way, it will get to Chris, and she will help you if you're struggling to find tickets for this event. How much are the tickets, Chris? Can you remember?
I think they had two different levels, Rosemary. It depended if you got early tickets or just in time tickets, but all the information's on the link that we've
Okay.
just provided in the chat room. And it's through Infinity Foundation. So they're the ones in control of all that kind of thing. But
Yes,
I'm happy to help if you can't find
nothing
it.
to do with us. We're just going to turn up. Um, Infinity Foundation is it based out of Chicago? I do believe.
Yes, yes. They've got a huge catalog of people offering courses, including people who are in, let's call them the healthcare field, where you can get
Right.
continuing education units as
So
well for taking these
yeah,
courses.
people might want to check that out. And we shall be doing three events over the next 3 months. Uh, one closer to Christmas. Obviously, this one's October. We'll be doing a November event, and we'll be doing a December event as well. All
I'm
on.
going to change that on you, Rosemary.
Oh, okay.
Um, December 17th, you have the Art of Spiritual Healing. And then February 4th of 2023 is the Path of Acceptance to
Oh,
Freedom.
sorry.
But
So
you
we're
have your own events in between.
right. Sorry, we're not doing Infinity Foundation in November. We'll be doing something for us. We'll be organising something. Yes. Anyway, once I get back home and make sure that my home is really intact and the internet is up and working. The last time I heard it had come on, but well, Mary Lou had her electric come on, and she texted me to say woohoo, and 4 hours later it was off again. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it's as stable as we hope it's going to be, and I'll let you know. Definitely, we'll let you know. Anyway, Chris, keep going with our
Yes.
comments and questions.
So this is from Mary. I know she's emailed you recently. She says it was very lovely watching you and your grandson making pasta and playing piano.
Yes.
My 3 children are doing well. And does Great Eagle have any advice?
Um, keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing, Mary, you're doing well. That's all you can do. All you can do is what you are doing, and doing more of it if you can. But to remember, give yourself time as well, give yourself love as well, give something to yourself as well. I mean, when we're with our children and with our grandchildren, we want to give, don't we? We just want to keep on giving to them. But you have to remember, you've got to give to yourself as well. Otherwise, you wear yourself out, and that won't do at all.
Sandy says she loved Reese's little piano concert.
Yeah, isn't it good? Don't you think he's good? Did you? I'm not sure if you saw the one where he's playing or the one where I'm 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, getting him to understand time and understand, that he has to stay in time. I don't know if Dean watched it. You should have watched it, Dean. It would have been interesting for you. Dean is a musical, I don't know what aficionado. I don't know what you'd call him, but he's great. Uh, plays lots of different musical instruments. So check out my grandson, Dean. Okay, keep going, Chris.
All right, this is from Michael. Michael says, Rosemary, it's great to see you again.
Hi, Michael.
Hopefully, I did not overstep on this one, but there is a radio show that I have grown to love called Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. They interview
Oh,
psychics and mediums all the time.
I've heard of that.
I thought you would be perfect for the show, so I gave them a call, and they informed me that you had already appeared on the show
I
in
have
2008,
a long time ago, yes.
and I was so
And
embarrassed, but
I gave a message to a lady who was tuning in on that show. So anyway, carry on. Yes.
uh, they told me you'd already appeared on the show in 2008. I was so embarrassed, but the producer, Tommy, gave me his number to forward to you, and they said they would gladly have you back.
Yay! Don't be embarrassed at all. That's so nice of you to do that. And anyone else who wants to do similar, hey, you know, we need as much help as we can get. So thank you for that. And I know we'll be on it, Chris. Right when things are in the next couple of weeks, we'll be calling that show and
Well,
saying,
that's great when we have all our listeners helping us get the word out of the work you do, whether
absolutely,
they set up an
absolutely.
event or they call their local radio or television station and say, "Hey, interview Rosemary. We're happy for the help."
Yes, and we'll certainly be calling them, and we shall let you know. And if they have me back, if they've said they'll be happy to have me back, I'll be happy to go. Absolutely, it's actually a really great show, and so if they have me back, we'll inform all of you so you can all tune in on the day. Chris,
All right. We've got lots of hellos from Paris, from Italy, from different parts of the U.S. Um, Andrew says, greetings from the UK and glad that you survived Ian.
yes, I'm glad I survived Ian too, Andrew. Thank you.
Let's see. Carla says, good evening, Rosemary. I wanted to thank you for the advice of the other time. It turned out to be very useful. Thank you again.
Don't you know? Talk to so many people, and I would love you to remind me what the advice was. Not that you need to, you don't need to. I'm just really pleased that it was helpful to you. But I just wondered, what did I say to that person, or what did we say to this person? Because aside from the fact that I talked to so many people, I've got a terrible memory for things too. Chris,
Leslie's saying, could you please ask Gray Eagle how to find out who is shooting the Alpine, Arizona wild horses?
oh, right. I'll put that on the agenda for next week. I'm listening. That we'll talk about it next week. Definitely. Uh, all right. I won't. I'm getting little bits of information. I won't say anything because I'm not clear yet what I'm doing. But thank you for asking me to check that out for you, and I'll gladly try to help. If we can't help, we can't. But I will say I think it's not a person. I think it's a group of people. How small or large, I don't know, but I'll take a look at that. Chris.
Cheryl's asking, I would like to ask Gray Eagle if my sister arrived safely on the other side. I was with her only 2 days and she passed while I went to run errands with her husband.
Yes, that so often happens that we wait and our loved ones, as they're passing, they wait until you're not there anymore because it's too difficult for them to leave you when you're there. You know, I hear people say, "But I just went to the bathroom for 2 minutes," or "I just went to get myself a sandwich, and when I came back, she was gone." And people who can stay, you know, a lot of people will stay for a week or 2 weeks with somebody who they know is dying, not leave the bedside, and the very second they leave the bedside is that moment that is chosen for our loved ones to leave, because it can be so traumatic when you've got your loved ones by your bedside and you're getting this pull. You know, you're getting this pull from above and you're getting this pull from your family, and it's, you know, it's very tough. It makes the struggle harder. So um, is she safe? Apparently yes. And is she well? Apparently yes. So please don't worry on that score, and understand that you know it. I'm sure it made it much easier for her to leave when you were not around, because the struggle that she would have had you been there would have been tough. It would have been tough for her. So so, you know, be glad of that. Don't think if only I'd been there, she would, you know, it wouldn't have happened, or I would have had her longer. Don't think that for 1 minute, because that's not the case. Okay, Chris, keep going.
Mark is expressing safe journeys home and know that the many who love you are with you in spirit,
Thank you.
but also asking a question.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
I know Gray Eagle shares all with you. Was he able to tell you about the upcoming hurricane?
Yes, and in fact, not only was he able to tell me, but to also reassure my friend Mary Lou, who lives just a couple of blocks away from me, and you know that we would be safe, and that it, you know, it would be calm around us, which it was. And in fact, I had more damage to my property, which wasn't that much really in the scheme of things, but I had more damage than Mary Lou, who had not a scrape or a scratch. So thank goodness that that was that. But you know, you never know with a hurricane. You know, I remember being at a wedding a few years ago, fantastic wedding. I was with my daughter. It was a huge, huge wedding, and I arrived, and unbeknownst to me, there was a storm coming, a really bad storm coming. It was going to hit Orlando, which is where we were. And it was going to hit Orlando, and had it hit Orlando, all the wedding plans would have been destroyed. All of the festivities for the wedding, everything would have been destroyed. And so the moment I landed and arrived at the house, my good friend, who's it was her daughter getting married. She was the hostess for this wedding. The first thing, she grabbed me and she said, "You've got to do something. You've got to do something." like you know, okay, I can just take my finger and push the little cloud away. Um, in fact, we sort of, well, I didn't really do anything. Craig was very helpful in that way. They were this close to cancelling everything, and Gregor said, "No, no, no, it's going to swing right back out to sea at the very last minute. It's going to swing back out to sea. You will not be affected." And so everyone was on tender hooks, but they listened, and they believed, and they trusted. In other words, they lived their faith with bated breath, I will say. And sure enough, within it was about 2 hours before the hurricane was supposed to hit, it simply, for no apparent reason whatsoever, simply turned and spun out to sea. So that you can see my daughter wandering about in the background there, and it spun out to sea, and it was a blessing for everyone, and the wedding went on splendidly. We all had a great time. So yes, of course. I mean, you know, we get it's not like it happens overnight. We get warnings of these things coming in, and of course, one person above all above any other that I'm going to ask and consult with is Grey Eagle. You know, what's going on, and so on and so forth. And he, as I said, he's reassured Mary Lou, just hunker down, do what you need to do to stay safe, but you'll be fine. And she was, I'm pleased to say. All right, Keith, Chris, are there any other questions that we have here?
Well, Lorraine is wondering, of the Instagram reels that you have put up, can you put them on Facebook as videos?
Yes, I think so. They do go. My understanding is that they do go onto Facebook as well, but again, they only last for a few hours before, and it's not a reel. Now, I'm learning something. My daughter's teaching me something here about Instagram, because you have a story. You can put up a story, you can put up a reel, or you can put up a post. You might be able to put up other things as well, but a reel and a story are two different things, two very, very different things. And I've only been putting up stories. I'm a beginner in this, so I've just been putting up stories. But yes, we can. I can, certainly have a go of putting them up. They do go up on Facebook, but if you miss the window, they disappear after they're only supposed to last 24 hours. I'm not quite sure why that is, but that's what they do. But we can certainly look into. Would you like to see my grandson making spaghetti with his grandmother, because it is funny, uh, um, and or maybe you'd like to hear him playing the piano. My grandson, of course, he's the super kid. I know that every grandmother says about their grandchildren, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's true, right? He's a super kid. Super to me, anyway. Chris.
All right, Judith is asking, will you be making your Christmas cake live again this year? I enjoy watching you cook. I seldom do anything but the bare minimum anymore.
Oh, right. Well, yes. Um, you can always find it on YouTube, though, Go to my YouTube channel, Rosemary Altea, and it's there for you to see. And my grandson, funnily enough, asked me the same question yesterday. Mosey, are we going to be making a Christmas cake this year? And then he said, "Did we have? Do we have Christmas pudding every year?" And they've been doing something at school, which I don't know quite what it is, but maybe they're preparing already for Christmas. It's only 8 weeks away. And yes, I'm a little late because normally by now I will have, I'd like to do it sort of in mid December or mid to late, sorry, September. And it will be almost mid October when I get there. So it'll only have 6, 7 weeks before it, to ferment, to become really, really deliciously good. But yes, of course, I should be making my Christmas cake, and I should be either bringing it with me to New York, or I'll be mailing it to New York for Christmas. And then Reese and I, as we always do, we like to make a video. We'll be decorating, and he's a 9 this year. He'll be 10 in February, so he may have a different idea of how he wants to decorate the cake this year. So we'll see. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, Christmas cake, what, and decorating, and really what, go to my YouTube channel, and you'll see it's all there. Rosemary in the kitchen. I think it's Rosemary Altea in the kitchen. Because I think there is another Rosemary in the kitchen. So this is, go to Rosemary Altea in the kitchen, and you'll see me making all sorts of good stuff. All right,
So
Chris.
Judith's second part of her question was, will you be having a spooky time near Halloween Eve this year?
Yes, we will. And what date did we pick, Chris?
Well, you were saying you wanted it on Christmas. Sorry,
On
gosh, we're talking
Halloween,
about Christmas. Yeah,
which is
I
the
think it's a
31st.
Monday,
What day is it? Do you know?
October 31st.
Yeah, no, what day is it? Monday,
I
Tuesday,
think
Wednesday,
it,
Thursday,
I
Friday,
think it's a
Saturday.
Monday.
Okay, so we know that people will be trick or treating and all of that stuff, but uh, we're planning on doing it a little bit later. So hopefully, all the kids will be in bed and all the grown-ups will be drinking whatever it is you drink when you go out trick or treating. Is that when you drink the not the hot toddies, but we'd have that cinnamon, nasty cinnamon drink that people have sometimes. I don't like cinnamon, so I'm not a cinnamon drinker. Anyway, yeah, but we'll be hopefully doing it on Halloween, which is Monday night on the 31st. And I might be telling a spooky story, and we might be having friends popping in from different parts of the world to join us on Halloween as well. We don't quite know what we're going to do yet, but we're definitely doing something. So yes, join us for our spooky story on Halloween. We'll let you know the date. We'll let you know the time nearer the date. It's unbelievable, isn't it? We're talking about Halloween now. I mean, it's amazing. All right, Chris. Anything else going on?
Dean says, to answer you, Rosemary, I did listen to Reese playing the Moonlight Sonata and did comment on your Instagram site. He must have long fingers to reach all those octaves in that piece.
I
I
know.
was a music teacher, so I know, Rosemary.
I know. I know you're a music teacher, Dean, and that's why I wanted you to look. Uh, his uh, his music teacher. We have a great music teacher because I think Reese had a keyboard, and I showed him how to do some things on the keyboard, and then he had a nanny who played guitar, so she sort of helped him a little bit with his piano. But I really wanted him to learn properly with a proper teacher, how to hold your hands, how to use your fingers. He's doing finger exercises, and I keep telling him he's got to develop the muscles in his fingers. And of course, I have, given him a lot of lessons over the years, but his music teacher's amazing. And she loves that I play with him too, and she just loves the dynamic that goes on between Reese and I. But I think she wants to get him ready for competition now, so we shall see, won't we? Anyway, we'll see his progress. We'll see, because kids, they love something. You think they're going to go there. You think that he's got a musical career, but then they switch to something else. They dump what they've been doing for 2 or 3 years, and they try something else or go in a different route. I'm hoping he's not going to do that too soon, because I just bought him a new really nice piano, which so I'm hoping he keeps it up at least for another 12 months, if not, of course, longer. Okay, Chris.
Sonia is saying, Dear Rosemary, I have been following you for years. I have my 12-year-old daughter who has seen the dead several times. Do you think this gift will disappear?
Um, I think it depends. It depends on your daughter. I just was talking about how quickly children can go from one thing to another thing, Um, and it really depends. It depends on how sensitive she is. It depends on her attitude towards it. It depends on the people around her. Are they encouraging her or discouraging her? What are they doing? So it depends on a lot of things, and mostly, you know, by no means least of all, it will depend as she gets older on her choice. My daughter had that choice, and she chose not to go the route that I went, but she could have easily done that, because was in. She had great connection with my father when he passed, and she is very sensitive and very psychic in so many ways. But all she saw was her mother, day after day, night after night, sitting in her study, closeted in her study with all these strange people. And I don't mean the dead, I mean the people, the clients who came to see me. And she decided, I don't, that's not what I want. I don't want to sit there with people all day, every day and do that. Um, she may regret it now, but as she does not playing the piano, because I tried to teach her the piano and she wouldn't have that either. Reese is also very aware, very sensitive, and he could well be the next me, let's say, because it's runs in the family, I guess. and he's extremely sensitive, sees, is aware, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, as with your daughter, it will be their choice to make. So try not to be too pushy about it. Try not to. I don't encourage Reese. I don't discourage Reese. I talk to him. He tells me things, and I, explain that he will always have this gift, but whether he chooses to do something with it or not, as he gets older, it's his choice. So we just have to wait and see what happens, don't we?
Danielle says, I would like to know if any of my family that passed away is around me.
Danielle, without even looking, without even asking Greg, I can tell you this, it's a resounding. Greg has put his hand on my shoulder to confirm or to reaffirm, yes, absolutely, your family in the spirit world are definitely around you. Absolutely around you, yes. Chris, keep going. I know
Judith,
we must be fairly close to time now, but
we have 15 more minutes. Judith says, I am having a cardiac procedure on October 19th. I wonder if you or Gray Eagle can see an outcome.
we'll be there. We'll take a little peek. Don't you worry, we'll be fine. But I have a very strong feeling that it's going to go better than you think. And Gregor tells me we will be there, even if only for a moment. We'll take a peek at you as you're going through this. Don't you worry, you'll be fine.
Sonia says, I would like to know if I have someone close to me and who is this person?
Sonia, as we've just said, we unfortunately we only have an hour of this show. And although I do give messages sometimes, and I do see people in the spirit world, and will let people know from time to time that their loved ones are around and who they are, I think if you want to know, you have to give your loved ones the opportunity to come through to talk to you. So, what I'm going to suggest to you is that you book a session with a medium who you trust, who you know is good, and you book a session. You sort of that way you get all of your questions answered. If we don't give our loved ones in the spirit world an opportunity to talk to us, either by going to different events. We've already mentioned we're doing our events, one upcoming. And if you don't give your loved ones in the spirit world an opportunity to um, to come through to talk to you by going to different events, by visiting different mediums, just make sure that you've got someone who's good. The people who come to me come back to me. They don't go somewhere else. Or if they do go somewhere else, they always come back to me anyway. But so make sure it's somebody good. Make sure it's somebody you trust. And make sure it's somebody who, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, they give you your money back. They won't charge you. We know that there are lots of people out there. We know there are lots of charlatans out there. So just be cautious, just be careful. But I think you should give your loved ones in the spirit world an opportunity, a chance, either by going to you can go to a spiritualist church, so you can go to different spiritual events. So you go on the web. There are tons of them everywhere, and or you can come to my events or book an appointment with somebody. Give your loved ones in the spirit world an opportunity to let you know, to give them the opportunity to answer your questions. Chris,
Judith said, thank you, Rosemary. Your encouraging and kind words brought tears to my eyes. So thank you.
please let me know how it goes, my darling. Just drop us a line, please. Let me know.
Barb is asking if you aren't going to do your show on a Thursday or a Saturday, would you please let us know that you're okay because I get worried.
Oh, Bob, darling, can't have that. Well, we do try to let you know ahead of time, but it's not always possible. We did let you know I'm not going to be doing it on Saturday because I'll be traveling and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be finding when I get there, because as I've said, there is some damage to my property, so I'm not sure. So better not to do it. than to promise you that we're going to do it and then for some reason or another we can't. And we also don't quite know yet how the internet service is going. So we are not going to do it on Saturday. Hopefully we'll be doing it next Thursday and the following Saturday. But
Well, the
please,
following Saturday, Rosemary, you'll be in the middle of your event.
oh, well, we won't be doing it then. But I'm going to see if we can organise a cracking up session. We're going to see if we can, sort of do some more things. So yes, it's true. It's a week on Saturday is my event with.
Infinity
Thank
Foundation.
you. I should have remembered with Infinity. So you can always see me there if you'd like to. Get a ticket, come see me there. But we'll try and give you a heads up. But as sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen sort of on the day. If I wake up and I can't move because my back is out, I'm not going to be doing the show. And believe you me, sometimes I have done shows when I've been sitting there and my back is really bad, uh, but sometimes things happen and we're not always able to let you know straight away. But this is why you need to keep checking on Instagram, you need to keep checking on Facebook because it'll tell you there what's going on with me. I do appreciate, Bob, your concern. I do appreciate what a lovely sentiment that you worry about me, but please don't worry too much about me because, I always seem to bounce back, no matter what's going on. Chris.
Michael says when attempting to communicate with someone telepathically and you feel like you hear an answer, how can you truly discern whether or not it's the other person or your own brain that you are hearing?
Well, don't discount your own brain, Michael. But the three-time rule is how I make sure that it's not my imagination, that this is reality. So if you try once and you get a good result, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Uh, you can say, "Oh, okay, maybe." Try twice and you get a good result. Oh, maybe it's a bit more than maybe. Try three times, just accept what is going on. But always use the three-time rule, Michael. It works for me every time.
Lisa's wondering if you could comment on this. When my granddaughter, who's 5 years old, visits an old cemetery, specifically Walnut Ridge in Virginia, Illinois, with us, she is very animated and says she is with her people. She runs and rolls down a hill. It is in my great grandma Mary's area. My grandmother is further down. Can you comment on that?
Well, it sounds to me like something is going on. It sounds to me like your grandson is a very sensitive little thing. And obviously, it's funny because you don't have to visit the graveyard, to be with your people, as she said. But maybe she just feels a little bit close to them there, or maybe it's the reaction of the adults around her living, who are sort of being very sensitive to what's going on, being very sensitive to the fact that that your family is around, and she's picking up on that, and it's opening her up a little bit more to see and to be aware of the people in the spirit world who obviously love her. So you just need to keep watch on her. See what else she does as she gets older. Sounds like she's sensitive little bit. Chris.
Danielle says my husband goes to bed, and once he called out granddad, and another day he saw faces looking at him.
Oh, well, have you read The Eagle and the Rose? Very reminiscent of the things that I've experienced. He's obviously, when we're in our sort of that half awake, half asleep state, that is when we're most receptive to things that go bump in the night. You know what I mean? We're most receptive to our loved ones in the spirit world. We're most receptive to sort of having that awareness and that understanding and that connection with the spirit world. So maybe he's sort of, in that half awake, half asleep state is where he is able to connect with or to, in some way, hear or sense or be aware of his loved ones.
Sonia says in 1992, I lost my father after his death, and a couple months later, I heard footsteps in my room for 5 consecutive nights, going from the door to the window and then stopping at my bed. I always thought it was my father, but my family says I'm crazy. Could you comment?
You're not. Let me put it this way, my darling. You're as crazy as I am. And the nicest people in the world are a little bit crazy. But do not listen to people who tell you this didn't happen or you're crazy, because it's other people's way. It's other people's ways of dismissing. Either because they're afraid or because they don't want to visit there. Because if people accept that there is such a thing as communication with the spirit world, maybe they'll have to change the way they live or the way they feel or the way they think. They don't want to change. They're comfortable in their ignorance. But I don't think you're crazy at all. And I think it probably was your dad just letting you know that he was around. Probably just come to watch over you and make sure and check on you and make sure you're okay.
Mark is hoping you and Gray Eagle can look ahead to May of 2023 when he does his cross-country trip. Does Gray Eagle see the trip going safely? And will his 15-year-old dog Gage be safe and healthy too to go along?
Oh, you got to take the puppy with you. And look, part of an adventure is having some difficulties, and part of an adventure is having some, coming up across situations that you didn't even know existed. So I'm going to say, Mark, that your adventure will be full of unexpected twists and turns, and you'll come out pretty much unscathed. I think you'll be fine. Stop worrying about it. Just do it.
Last one. It's from Andrew. He was at an open day at St. Matthew Church and they had readings. He was told he had potential as a healer and that his
So
late wife said she was going to help with that. Do you have any comments?
we all have the ability to heal, Andrew. So, it's possible that you might go into that area. Be very careful, though. Uh, Only listen to people that you trust. You know, very often it's difficult, this, isn't it? It's a difficult one. But very often, when you go to a place and there are mediums there giving messages, their go to is very often, and you could be a healer. And I see your spirit guide, and you could be a medium too. And it's coming from, I don't know what it's coming from really. Uh, Always be cautious when people tell you these things. If you don't know them well enough, why would you listen to them? Having said that, to be told that you're a healer and that your wife will help you is, you can. If you choose, you can become a healer. We all have the ability to heal. And if you choose that route, I'm no doubt whatsoever that your wife will be along for the ride. So it's not a certainty. It's your choice. You remember someone asked me earlier on, will my 12-year-old continue with this ability, this psychic ability? It's your choice. It's her choice. It's my grandson's choice. It's your choice as to whether you want to do this or not to do this. But do be cautious. If you're going to be a healer, you need someone to teach you who really, really knows what they're doing, because so many healers that I've met give everything of themselves and drain themselves and leave themselves with less energy than they need. So, I'm going to suggest, when we have done some uh, healing, we've done some afternoon sessions with healing. Uh, the way that I teach people, the way that I help people to open themselves up to become healers. We are going to be doing more of that. We did have weekly sessions. You can still find them. Go onto YouTube. You can still find them. Helping people to how to extend their energy, helping people to create energy. A healer, first and foremost, has to be the most selfish, selfish person in the respect of, don't worry, don't have to be selfish in every way, but in the respect of healing, first you must learn to give healing to your own self. Because if you don't do that, when you give healing to others, you'll expend energy that you can't afford to expend. You also need to learn how to build your energy so that you have enough, not just for you, but for other people too. There's much more to it than just saying, "Oh yeah, I can go and be a healer." So my advice, Andrew, is go check out the YouTube sessions, the healing sessions that we've done already, and watch for the ones that we're going to be doing. And that, if you can do that, and also have someone, uh, another healer, help and guide you, you'll be able to discern whether they're any good or not, or if you're on the right track. Chris, I think that's time, right? I think
Yes, you
time is
have
up.
reached time. Yeah.
And so let me just say thank you to everybody for connecting here with us today. I'm sorry about Saturday. I'm sorry about the following Saturday, but you can always see me if you'd like to join us in our event a week on Saturday. But this coming Saturday, I'll probably be foraging around looking for what's going on in the house and trying to get food, that sort of thing. I shall miss you, but again, we're going to be planning some cracking up stuff and also some healing sessions we're going to be planning as well in the very near future. So check out the website. Go to the website, check us out. Go to Instagram, why don't you? See if you can catch the little stories that we do, and the of course the posts that we do. So until I see you all again, please, everybody, thank you once again for joining me. Thanks to Chris, of course. Thank you especially to Grey Eagle. Without what would we do without him? Anyway, thank you to all of you. Please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Have a very blessed weekend, everybody. And hopefully, I'll see you next Thursday. Bye bye.